everybody to Survive and Advance on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. Survive and Advance is brought to you by BetDSI. Make sure you go to betdsi.eu, put in the promo code TGT, or go to the gruelingtruth.com page, go to the top of the page, and just click the button. And when it'll take you there, you put in the promo code TGT, and it will give you a 100% bonus on your first deposit, and that is a 50% casino bonus, 50% sportsbook bonus. So make sure you check out BetDSI. Also, make sure you check out Replenishing Care Technologies, also a sponsor to Grueling Truth. You can find them at the top of the page. Make sure you hit them up for all your health and wellness needs. I am your co-host for Survive and Advance, Mike Goodpaster, and right now I'd like to welcome in my co-host, a man who has spent his morning reading about a service dog named Barclay and seems pretty satisfied with that. Steve Risley, how you doing, Steve?
I'm doing great today, Mike. Enjoying sports world these days. Got great Stanley Cup going on. You got a fabulous NBA Finals going on, and got a lot to talk about in 40 minutes before you head off to the next venture.
All right, you're a man. Don't say fabulous ever again. All right, our guest today, NHL beat writer, who's going to try to talk a little NBA today. And do you think that the NBA is fabulous, Sam McGinnis?
No, I personally don't like dynasties, so.
You don't like dynasties?
That's just me.
Oh, there's our first discussion.
Not really.
What does fabulous have to do with it?
Wait a second. Dynasties. He doesn't like dynasties. Steve, do you like dynasties?
I respect dynasties. Yeah, I respect them. Sure.
I think sports are at their best when you have a dynasty, Sam.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, if you look at the history of TV ratings, usually you go to the 70s, you had the Oakland A's, the Cincinnati Reds. Football-wise, you had the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Dallas Cowboys, the Oakland Raiders. Then you get the 49ers in the 80s, the Bulls in the 90s, the Celtics and Lakers in the 80s. I would say I think the NBA is better with a big bad villain, what's turned into a villain now, than they are without one, Sam. It makes it more interesting.
I don't know. I'm just kind of an odd duck. I don't really like dynasties. I like seeing new people in finals every year.
Yeah, but
one of the reasons I like the NHL.
Well, this is the thing, though. The NHL, the 80s, you had the Islanders. It was huge then. And you had Wayne Gretzky came, supplant them with the Edmonton Oilers. And the thing that strikes me about the two dynasties that we have going on in sports right now, Steve, are this. They're both kind of the same. The New England Patriots were a non-entity. They've been to a couple Super Bowls in their history, but they'd never won anything. They get Tom Brady, a guy that nobody thinks is going to be that good. He fills in for Drew Bledsoe. 20 years later, they're still winning Super Bowls. The Golden State Warriors, on the other hand, get Steph Curry, who was a guard that wasn't drafted number one because people thought he was too small. And a decade later, you got a dynasty there. So these are two dynasties that started off. I think it's fair to say, Steve, the first time the Warriors and the Patriots were in the Super Bowl or the NBA Finals, they were kind of America's darlings. You fast forward a decade, and everybody hates them.
I agree entirely, Mike. I don't think that the NFL would be in a position it's in right now with the supremacy they show on television and things without the fact the Patriots are the dynasty, and everybody wants to knock them off, and everybody talks about beating them. And certainly, I don't know that this NBA Finals would be that outstanding of a finals had it not been for the fact that Golden State's been to the finals Rockets, 5 times in a row.
If it was the Rockets and the Raptors, Sam, I don't think this would hold near the appeal.
Agreed. I'm not saying, but I agree with that, and then go on.
Go ahead, Sam. And Sam, I would dare to say this.
For most people, I agree your TV ratings would definitely go up. I was saying the reason I like the NHL more and the NBA less is because me personally, I don't like watching dynasties that much.
So you don't like greatness. You just like mediocrity to occasionally achieve something.
I just like new people.
Well said.
You like what? You like new people getting chances. So you're more one of those millennials where you want everybody to have a chance.
I guess a little.
We haven't had Sam on in a couple weeks. I think Sam's become a liberal Democrat over the last 2 weeks.
I'm thinking so. He's probably against the tariffs for Mexico.
All right, let's go ahead and let's talk about the NBA Finals last night. Golden State Warriors guard Steph Curry scores 47 points, but the Raptors beat them 123-109 in Game 3 of the NBA Finals. It was the most points Curry had scored in any postseason game in his career, besting the 44 he put up in the 2013 playoffs against the San Antonio Spurs. But despite Curry's offensive brilliance, the depleted Warriors didn't have enough firepower to overcome the absence of Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, and Kevon Looney. My question to you, Steve, is this. It looks like Thompson's going to play. If Thompson plays, is that enough for the Warriors to win this series?
I think it's a dead heat, Mike. I know. I don't think this thing is done with by any stretch of the imagination. I think that this is as hard a press as Golden State's ever going to be or have been pressed without losing one. But Toronto is a real deal. And you and I know our friend from Canada, had a discussion last night. I don't hold Steph Curry in the same esteem that you do in terms of being a player who can manipulate a basketball team.
Really?
I think he's a great player. Yeah.
Wait a second. Steph Curry, when he went to the Golden State Warriors, the Warriors were terrible. And he made them a great basketball team. He won his first championship without a Kevin Durant. This is a team that was built through the draft. They did pick up Durant a few years into it. But he also, kind of the same thing Larry Bird did, he did at Davidson. Yeah. I mean, he took Davidson. They lost by a point or two to Kansas in the Elite Eight, and this was over a decade ago. And I think last night, the thing that stood out to me about Steph Curry that I don't think LeBron James would have done, I don't think with 2 minutes left, down 17 points, I don't think LeBron James would have been diving on the floor for the ball. Steph Curry did. Michael Jordan would have. Larry Bird would have. Magic would have. I think Steph Curry belongs in the conversation with those guys because I think he does elevate.
Agreed. Yeah.
No, you don't. You just said that you didn't.
I don't think that he can elevate his team to the level of a Jordan or a Bird or a
What makes you say that from what we've seen here? Because he's been missing Kevin Durant.
They lost last night. I mean, well,
they lost one game, so he can't.
Before.
Wait a second. So you're telling me that the Lakers and the Bulls were undefeated all the time? Because it was one game, and the thing is this. They lost Kevin Durant during Game 5, I think it was, or the start of Game 6. They win Game 6 and Game 7 with Steph dropping 40 points in back-to-back games and willing his team to win. You know, you go to the Portland series. They swept a really good Portland team because of, number one, Steph going off on them, but number two, Steph playing defense on them. And when you look at it, I'm not going to say that he's better than Jordan, and I'm not going to say he's better than Bird because they really played different positions. So if we go point guard-wise, I would take him over Magic Johnson. I would take him over Isiah Thomas.
Sure. Yeah, if you're going position by position, but if you're talking about a player who elevates a team, let's face it, Mike, we saw it last night. Golden State cannot win on the shoulders of Steph Curry. He put in 47 points. He had his most monumental game ever.
Okay, can you name me one player? At home. Name me one player that missing three of their best players in the NBA Finals would have won a game in the NBA Finals.
Oh no, I can't off the top.
Okay, because I can give you this off the top of my head.
You asked me that question last night.
Off the top of my head.
Wait
a second.
Bird played without some of his great players. Johnson played with some of his great players.
No, he didn't.
Jordan played.
Did not. Neither one of them ever won anything missing these guys. Perfect examples, 1983. Magic Johnson was missing James Worthy. They got swept by the Sixers. 1989, we had who went down? Michael Cooper goes down. Byron Scott goes down. They didn't win. With Larry Bird, 1987, most of the team was injured. They got it to 6 games, but they didn't win. If they win this NBA Finals and they do it without one of their studs, I can't remember any other time anything like this happened.
Right.
The closest thing to that would be when Kareem got hurt before Game 6 of the NBA Finals in 1980, and Magic Johnson came in and played center. But the thing people forget is this. If you watch that game, Magic brought the ball up to court half the time, and half the time he didn't.
Right.
Norm Nixon did. Norm Nixon was an all-pro point guard who made multiple all-star games. So when you look at this would be like Bird losing McHale and Danny Ainge. Is he going to win then?
Mm-hmm.
No. The Lakers, if they lose James Worthy, are they going to win? No. And the other perfect example is 1991. The Lakers win Game 1 at Chicago Stadium. James Worthy goes off, plays a great game. Worthy gets hurt early in Game 2. They don't win another game. So Magic didn't elevate that team to win. Do we hold that against him and say he can't elevate them? What I saw here was Steph Curry dropped 47 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists as a freaking point guard without, 2 of his best players or 3 of his best players even in the lineup. So he elevated his team so they were down 6 with about 9 minutes left to go in the game, and they still had a chance. I'll also make this case. When you look at these two teams, without those 2 players, the Raptors are worlds better talent-wise than the Warriors. And I think when they're both healthy, I think the teams are evenly matched.
Mike, I can't disagree with anything you say. I think if the Warriors find a way to win this series, it's on Steph Curry's shoulders. But I think I just took last night that the guy did. Oh, you're right. He dove for every loose ball. He gets 7 assists. He gets 8 rebounds as a point guard. He dumps in 47 points on 14 of 31 shooting, 6 of 14 from 3-point, 13 of 14 free throws. Geez, he finally missed a free throw. I don't think
it was in the first quarter, though. I think.
Yeah, but he can't do any more. I just saw Jordan-esque things. I saw Bird-esque things. I saw magical things happen with other players that got other players.
No, you didn't. You never saw that. Give me an example.
Maybe.
Give me an example of where he lost his best players
out of the Dead Sea, and he gets Walton to make major contributions. Dennis Johnson was.
Wait a second. Wait. You going to talk shit about Dennis Johnson, who is in the Pro Basketball Hall of Fame?
No, I'm not talking shit about Dennis Johnson. Bird made Dennis Johnson a player much greater than he ever would have been without Larry Bird. You can't deny that.
Yeah, I can. I can deny that all day because I watched Dennis Johnson playing 5 straight All-Star games at the end of the 70s. Plus, he was the MVP of the finals in 1978 when the Supersonics beat the Warriors.
And trust me, I played against Kevin McHale. I could shut Kevin McHale down.
No, you couldn't. You could not shut Kevin McHale down. You played against Kevin McHale when he was 20. That would be like somebody who fought Deontay Wilder when he was 18 in the amateurs and knocked him out, saying, "Well, I could stop Deontay Wilder right now." It's entirely different things.
Bird elevated Kevin McHale's game to a level that McHale would have never achieved had he not played with Bird.
So you think with the Warriors, you think that Draymond Green, Iguodala, Sean Livingston, Quinn Cook, all these guys are not elevated by the guy that is playing with them?
Sure they are. They're elevated by the team they're on, but they're great players in their own right. Aside from that, they all are going to be highly paid superstars on other teams in a couple of years, 1 or 2 years, because this team's breaking up. I don't see this team possibly staying together. You're going to have Curry and the Warriors being a middle-of-the-pack team. And
that will never happen.
I don't want to knock Steph Curry.
That will never happen.
I do not want to knock Steph Curry.
They will never be a middle of the pack team. He is the best point guard
in the game right now. I think Isiah Thomas could change games more than Steph Curry can change games.
So you got a man that is the greatest shooter in NBA history, and Isiah changes games.
He's a great shooter.
All right, Isiah won 2 championships. You know that? How many Steph got?
4. 3 or 4.
Yeah. Well,
how many
either way, he's got more than Isiah.
Yeah.
And I hate to tell you this, but with the Warriors, as they lose players are going to want to go play with Steph Curry because he makes them better.
Oh, I agree. He's a rare breed. He didn't make them better. I think he's in the genre of all the other guys we've mentioned. He's in that realm. I just saw last night the guy give the maximum effort he could give and could not pull his team through this at home. But there are still
I think
talented
there's
players on
actually
that
your
basketball
problem.
team.
1980.
You're assuming it's
Go ahead.
You're assuming it's on one player, which is part of the problem. You need to have a team to have success.
Well,
You can
no,
only have
Mike
so much
is
of a
making
match
the
on
argument
one
that
player.
Steph Curry is the greatest player in the history of the game.
No, I'm
and
not.
should be able to do
I
all
see.
sorts
This
of
is the
everything.
thing. I obviously said I think he is the greatest point guard in the history of the NBA. I said
Right.
that you can't compare Hakeem Olajuwon at center or Larry Bird at small forward or Magic or anybody. I mean, this is the thing. You say, well, Magic Johnson could play other positions. He's 6'9",
Magic
Steve.
Johnson played point guard.
He's 6'9". He also could play forward and center. So he's 6'9".
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is this, when I watched this, Magic was not a better defender. Steph Curry was a better defensive player. Steph Curry is a billion times better shooter. And Magic might have been a better passer, but Steph Curry ain't too damn bad. So I want to know where Magic Johnson gets him at. I want to know a game outside of Game 6, 1980, where Magic took a game over and won it by himself, because this is what I remember with Magic Johnson. 1981, Game 3, third and deciding game, Houston Rockets against the LA Lakers. The Rockets were the 8th seed. They were up by a point with the clock running out. Magic ran the clock out, never even got a shot off. 1984 NBA Finals, Game 2. They're in, I think it's regulation. Magic's got the ball in his hands. The game is tied. Magic runs the clock out, doesn't even get a shot off. To make matters worse, in overtime, or at the end of that, after he doesn't get the shot off, they go down. They've still got the lead. There's like 5 seconds left in the game, and he throws a pass that gets stolen by Gerald Henderson. Celtics score. Celtics win in double overtime and win that series. He is the greatest shooter of all time. Now,
Dude, Steph Curry?
Yes.
Steph Curry?
And it's not even close.
Bar none.
So why
Not
would you
even
want?
close. Bar
Why
none.
would you want? You know what? You could give me a choice between Michael Jordan and Steph Curry, and I'm going to take Steph Curry because number one, Steph Curry is not an asshole like Michael Jordan, and number two, Steph Curry is the greatest shooter that ever lived. And if I want to win games, I need great shooters. Bobby Knight, in an interview in 1986, they were asking him about the best players he ever had, and I think that he said that Scott May was his greatest player. I think you were third. But then they asked him, well, if you had to start a team, who's the guy you would take first? And he said Steve Alford, because you win games by making shots, and he's the best shooter I've ever coached.
Hey, Mr. Google, look up Steph Curry. What did he do in games 5 through 7 in 2016?
I don't know. What'd he do? You're obviously Googling it.
I
And
know.
I don't
Look
know.
it up.
What did
No,
I
I'm
Google
getting-
here? Are
I'm
you
getting
accusing
tweets
me?
from
Wait a
people telling
second.
me he folded.
What do you mean by Google? What have I Googled today? Did I Google the
I don't know what
1981
you
finals,
Googled.
the 1984 finals? I didn't Google that. I saw that.
I think that there is a difference from being a shooter and a scorer. Scorers put points on the board. Shooters shoot. You're right. Steph Curry is the best shooter to have played in the game that
That
I
is
can
the
remember.
dumbest thing I've ever heard, because you're the greatest shooter of all time, but you can't score points. Is that what you're saying?
Scoring points are dumping out, assists, getting other people involved,
That's
getting
scoring
the rest
points?
elevate the rest of your teammates. That's what scorers do. They put points on the board. Shooters shoot. I'm not knocking Steph Curry. I think he's the only reason Golden State's in this thing right now. Otherwise, I think Toronto runs away with this series. They're a better team right now than Golden State is. But he put up 47 points. He put up 8 rebounds. He put up 7 assists. He did the absolute max he could do, and their team got beat by 14 points.
Well, what's that mean? That means he's not as good as Larry Bird?
I think it means the rest of his team needs to pick it up.
Yeah, because Larry Bird was swept in the 1983 Eastern Conference Finals by the Milwaukee Bucks. Magic Johnson was beaten by the Houston Rockets, an 8 seed in 1981. You're going to pin one game on Steph. A game where he scored 47 points.
No. I'm just not going to anoint him the status of the greatest player of all time.
Nobody did that. Who did that?
You're calling him the greatest point guard of all time.
No.
I'm just saying
Give me one
he
better.
is a phenomenal player. He is the reason that the Warriors are where they are. But he showed me last night that if he doesn't have the support around him, despite his own individual talents and efforts, which are amazing.
Tell me somebody that can without help around him. Michael Jordan, and we had this discussion last night. The Bulls sucked when he got there. The Bulls sucked the first 5 years he was there.
They got better every year.
And he took them to the playoffs.
They improved
because
every
they got
year.
more players, Steve. They got Dennis Rodman.
Exactly.
They got Scottie Pippen.
And that's what Golden State did.
What?
They got more players.
Jeez.
And they elevated themselves to the level of where they are. And they're the best
So
team
Michael
in basketball.
Jordan didn't do that.
No, he did too. But we saw as many games where, and this is a tough conversation to have because I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying be a little more open-minded about the whole process.
How am I not open-minded?
Because you just say that because he's the greatest shooter.
No, that's not what I said. I said this.
They didn't win, Mike. The bottom line
they
is
didn't
they
win
didn't
a
win.
game,
They
Steve.
got blown out.
It's one game, Steve.
And they
This
lost
is
at
stupid.
home. They're down 2-1 now. And
Who's the
and
greatest
they
quarterback
had
of all time, Steve?
What do you want? You want statistics or do you want
No,
wins?
I just want
Wins?
your
Tom
opinion
Brady.
of who the greatest quarterback of all time.
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady.
Is the
He
greatest
lost
quarterback.
3 Super Bowls, Steve. Do you know that? He lost a Super Bowl 2 years ago to the Eagles.
What, 6, 7 of them? How many have they won?
He won 5.
6, 7? I don't even know.
Yeah, so he's
Hold on.
5. What is he? 5-3, 6-3, something like that. And Steph Curry is what? 3-1, 4-1. That's my point, Steve. What you're saying makes no sense because you are throwing this all on one game.
It makes no sense in your mind. No.
Sam, does it make any sense to you that because they lost one game?
Shooters shoot, scorers score, leaders lead. They're all different categories.
So you're telling me Steph Curry is not a leader?
No, I did not say that.
Well,
He's
what
a
is
shooter.
He's a shooter.
He's a shooter.
But he plays defense and he passes the ball really well. He's a shooter. A shooter is Vinnie Johnson,
and
who's
that
brought
makes
in to
him
shoot.
a leader.
Jeez. Your argument makes no sense. You're all over the place. Sam, what do you think?
I know. Yeah. Well, and so is the game.
Well, I personally think he's half right. Scores are a little different. It's the same thing in hockey. You can have a great assist man who doesn't score a whole lot, or score a whole bunch of goals, but he's still in the scorer category.
Yeah.
And then you just have guys that shoot a lot and can go there. But I think maybe a lot of the times you have, of those three categories, you can have a mix of multiple in one player. And I honestly think that Steph Curry is all three of them. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's part of it. No,
which is why
Mike,
he's the
I've not
best
said
point
that.
guard ever.
But you're comparing him to players of different eras, and you want to bring him back in our Texans last night to Bird, to Johnson, to Jordan.
No, because Bird's not a point guard. Neither is Jordan. Point guards would be like Isiah Thomas, Magic Johnson.
I recall of watching those games in those eras that most of the time those players, being Jordan, Bird, and Johnson, were on the court. The ball was in their hands. Now, whether that makes them a point guard or not, I guess if you want to just anoint a position to somebody,
really, Bird had the ball in his hands most of the time.
And Curry falls right into that category. I want the ball in Curry's hands.
Yeah.
Because good things are most likely going to happen.
They can't
he
win
led
with
his team
him
in rebounds. He led his team in assists last night. He put up 47 points. He took 1/3 of the shots that the Warriors took, and that's what you want. But it wasn't enough.
Yeah, so? And it's happened to everybody where it wasn't enough, Steve.
Right.
So why are you going to hold it against him? You just said that never happens to Larry Bird
I'm not
and all
going
these
to
other
anoint him
guys.
the greatest player in the history of the NBA.
Nobody ever said that.
I'm not even going to anoint him the best point guard in the history of the NBA.
Okay.
He's a great
Who's
player.
better?
In today's game, nobody.
Who's better ever?
A
point guard is a point guard.
Right now, and this is going to just piss you off. I know it's going to piss you off, and this is fine. If I had to go head-to-head in their prime, and I had to take Curry versus Jordan, I would bet all my money on Jordan every time.
That's fine. But your problem is
every
this.
time.
Once again.
Every time.
Jordan's a shooting guard at 6'6".
If I had to bet on Johnson and Curry, if I had to bet Johnson and Curry, I would bet on Johnson every time.
Even though Johnson choked repeatedly and cost his team championships.
they find ways to get other people to do it.
Okay.
Better
Whatever.
than what I think Curry does.
Do you realize that Magic Johnson, for one, had like 4 Hall of Famers on there, 3 Hall of Famers on the court with him at almost all times? And I'm telling you this, Kevin Durant is a Hall of Famer. But outside of Kevin Durant...
I can piss you off, too. I played against Worthy, too, and he wasn't that tough either.
Yeah, I know. Well, you know what, Steve? You played in freaking Italy. If you were that good and you would have dominated these guys, then your ass would have been in the NBA.
No, I was coached by a great coach. I wasn't good. I had Isiah Thomas and a bunch of great talent and had the most brilliant college basketball coach that ever coached the game. We outsmarted them.
When did you outplay Worthy? When did you shut Worthy down?
Well, we beat him in 1981 for the national championship game.
When did you shut him down? You said you guarded him. He wasn't that
what
good.
did I just say? I wasn't the greatest player. I said,
but you said
I had
you
Isiah
shut
Thomas,
him down.
I had
You
the
said
best coach.
You said I played against him.
It's not about
and he
me.
wasn't that
See,
good.
You want to always attack me.
Oh yeah, I
That's
always
fine.
want to attack you, and you always want to cry because you want to act like you're being attacked. I'm just using what you said against you. You said to James Worthy, you played against him, and he wasn't that good.
He wasn't a factor in the game. I don't remember one timeout where Knight said, you got to shut Worthy down. I don't remember that happening one time in the timeouts that I remember, either as a player in the game or as a player sitting on the bench or whatever, in 1981, March 31st, in the Spectrum in Philadelphia. I don't remember Knight ever saying, we got to shut Worthy down, guys, or we're going to lose this championship.
No, he
I
wouldn't
don't
say
remember that happening,
because
Mike.
I believe that he also had Perkins and Wood.
He was
and
shut down.
That team was loaded. Yeah, he was shut down.
And we'll ask Ray and Landon about that next week when we get them on the show for Indiana Basketball
Yeah, so I'll just say Steve
That's
Risley
a key
said
plug.
that James Worthy was not a very good player. Do you agree with him?
No, I didn't say he was a good player. He was not a factor.
You said that he wasn't that good. Sam, did I hear that wrong?
I think you did because he said factor.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Ouch what?
Steph Curry put up 47 points, put up 8 rebounds. He had a monumental game. But he couldn't
I think
carry
at the
his
bottom
team
line,
at
we're maybe focusing too much on one player. You got to have a team to win, and that's what Toronto is.
I agree.
Exactly.
And right now, Golden State does not have the team. I think
You
KD is
picked
checked
the
out.
Warriors to win last night after they lost the game, Steve.
I did when they were healthy. Yes, I did.
No, last
So
night
I
after the game, you said the Warriors were going to win still.
I
You could
still
put the
think
text
they're
up.
in the hunt to win this thing because I think
Well, no
Steph
shit.
Curry
The series
will
is
rise
still
above
going
the
on,
occasion.
so they're obviously still in the hunt.
Right, and I think this is far from over and done with. I think the ball goes back into Toronto's court. They've regained home court advantage. But I still think Steph Curry is a special player. There's no doubt. He can do things, but what he showed me last night is he can't do it by himself. And right now, he's got to do it by himself. I'm
Neither
looking
could
at the
Michael
bench
Jordan.
strength. But Jordan took guys.
Oh my God!
Yeah, he took
yeah,
Will
because
Purdue.
all
He
these
took Steve
guys.
Kerr.
Name
He
me
took-
one of
he
these
took
guys before
Bill
they got
Cartwright.
to go. Okay.
He took a lot of guys besides Pippen
Oh
and
yeah.
Rodman.
He made Bill
and won
Cartwright
with them.
was like a multiple-time NBA All-Star. You know that, right?
Because of Jordan.
Really? Because Bill Cartwright never
Yeah.
was an All-Star when he played for
Oh,
them.
and who votes for the All-Stars, Mike?
Back then?
The fans.
No,
fans
wait a second,
vote
Steve.
for the All-Stars.
Really? So in 1980, the fans voted for the All-Star team. Okay. And we'll just let everybody
Was Bill
look that
Cartwright
up if they
playing
want.
in the NBA in 1980? I don't know the answer. to
Right
that
around
question.
there,
I
yeah.
don't know. Okay, well, right around there, it's kind of a, Nagasaki, Hiroshima. Where are we dropping it? Right around there.
Yeah, because either way, you're right, because it's an atomic bomb that when it goes off, it's going to destroy everything that's right around there.
There you go.
So,
I
and
look at
actually,
the Raptors when
Bill Cartwright's
Well,
first
hold.
year was in 1979-80 season. So, yeah, I'm
Okay,
right around there.
fine. And who did he play for? He
played for the Knicks.
The Knicks. When he with the Bulls then? When did he join the Bulls?
He joined the Bulls 9 years into his career. He was pretty
Okay,
much
what were his
just a role
stats?
player.
What
then.
were his stats, career stats, prior to him joining the Bulls?
Okay, this is his stats the years before joining the Bulls. Rookie year, 22 a game. Second year, 21 a game. Then 15, 16, 17, 18. 14, 13, 14, and then he became a Bull. 8, 5, 5, 2. So you're right. He became
and
much better.
how many championship rings had he won before becoming a Bull?
He'd won none.
None.
But
you go.
You claimed that there you go. I know you proved my point. I mean, you just said that Bill Cartwright became a better player because of Michael Jordan. Bill Cartwright went from a guy that played 34 minutes and scored 20 points a game. That doesn't make him a better player because he was a champion. I mean, that would be like saying that Finis Dimbo in 1990 was a great NBA player.
Tom Brady the greatest quarterback of all time? The fact that he's won 5 Super Bowls?
Because he was the reason his
fairly
team won the
mediocre
Super Bowl.
stats,
Six.
other than
it's
10-year
6,
stats
but
as a quarterback.
Steve don't know that.
I mean, he has because he's played 20 years, so he has all the tenured stats. But really, has he ever led the league in passing? Or I think he threw 50 touchdowns one year.
How many other guys have done
Manning's
that, by
record.
the way?
And you want to get into stats right there for a second. Steve's actually got a point.
No, he doesn't, because stats are for losers. They are. They're for losers. In the end.
If you're telling me performance is for losers, you can just stop.
Steve's right. Anytime somebody says Steve's right, I want to hear you talk. Go ahead.
Go ahead, because you'll be wrong, and you should know that. But go ahead.
If you want to talk about statistics here for a second, Steve actually got a point, because if you look at it, Drew Brees has thrown a significant amount of more yards in less years, playing less games with less talent. If he is not better in that category, there's nothing you can do to prove that except that.
Well, I can tell you this, Sam. How many touchdowns to interceptions does he have, Drew Brees?
Drew Brees this year or all time? Because he's got a better touchdown to interception ratio than Tom Brady, if that's what you're asking.
That's not what I'm asking. What I'm asking is this. Why do the stats matter? Because this is the thing. You just said that Drew Brees was on a worse team. Drew Brees being on a worse team means what? He's going to throw the ball more because he's usually behind. That's going to aid you in getting more stats. Tom Brady is on a team that's main goal is to win the game. Now, Tom Brady has played for almost 20 years, and he has had 0 losing seasons, only 1 season with less than 10 wins, only 2 seasons with less than 11 wins. The other thing is this. When you say he's got the team around him, name me all the Hall of Famers that Tom Brady has played with, and you're going to have a really small list. Outside of Randy Moss 1 year at wide receiver, he had a year where Deion Branch was his best wide receiver. And then a few years later, Deion Branch was a DB in the Super Bowl. I mean, in 2001 or 2002, 2001, when he took over for Drew Bledsoe, that team was not very good. They were, I think, when he came in as a team, they were 2-2. They end up 11-3. All right. The year he doesn't play because he's injured, they don't make the playoffs. That is the only year they don't make the playoffs. So when you talk about he doesn't have as good a team around him, not having as good a team around you will lead to better stats. That's why Dan Marino's stats were great. That's why the Colts stats were great. When you don't have a defense, you're on the field more, and your stats are going to be better. All I can tell you is this. In the end, stats are for losers. The only thing that matters is your wins and your losses. And Drew Brees this year played in a game where if he makes a play or two, they go to the Super Bowl.
You can't tell me that wasn't the ref's fault. They would have won that game if you're talking about that. But you're even neglecting something else. With less talent, you have less people that are going to be open, so you have to make better passes. Tom Brady is not as good a thrower as Drew Brees is, accuracy-wise. And the fact of the matter is, with less talent, naturally, your stats should be worse, but his are better. And you're also neglecting the fact that Drew Brees has played in a significant amount of less games than Tom Brady has, and he's still quite a bit beating him in the stat of yards. The fact of the matter is,
so the most yards is important?
Yes, yards is important. Yards is how you get down the field.
No.
To score touchdowns, yeah?
I disagree. Because this is the thing. Drew Brees, when has he had a running game except for the last couple of years? He has to throw the ball for them to get the ball down the field. You know, New England runs with a 3 or 4-headed running backs. They play a little bit of ball control because they're trying to win. Drew Brees has had opportunities to win in the playoffs and has failed. He failed last year.
His defense has let him down. Look
His
at the Minneapolis Miracle, for instance.
Yeah, look at the
That's
Minneapolis
defense.
Miracle. That defense.
That is defense.
Wait a
that
second.
Is on the defense.
Wait a second. They gave up 24 points in that game, didn't they?
Yeah.
Okay. That's not a whole lot of points to score in a playoff game if you're so-called the greatest quarterback of all time. How about this? Tom Brady's defense in the second half against the Chiefs let him down, and he still led a game-time drive at the end of the second half, and a game-winning drive in overtime. In the Super Bowl, when he's down 28-3, his defense let him down for 3 quarters. And then he went out and he drove the ball down and scored 4 touchdowns in 14 minutes. That's greatness. All you're talking about is yards. I mean, Drew Brees, when he's had the chance, has
touchdowns. He's got him there too.
Wow, good for him.
Touchdown to interception.
Show me what he does in the playoffs. What's he do in the playoffs?
In the playoffs, he's actually done pretty well. It's just his defense keeps sucking crap.
Well, once again, the New England Patriots have had a defense that was bad. Their defense was not that good when they beat Atlanta. The defense was terrible against the Eagles. He lost that game because we had a blown block by his right guard. But then this year he comes out. The defense plays fine. He wins the game. My point is this. I've watched Tom Brady will his team to win championship games and Super Bowls against teams that were better than his. I mean, you go all the way back to 2002 or 2001. The Rams' offense was considered maybe the greatest of all time. Their defense was ranked 3rd in the NFL. They get the ball in their own 10. Brady's basically a rookie. John Madden's on the game saying they just need to run the ball and go to overtime. He throws 3 or 4 passes. They're in field goal range, and they win the game. And then everybody says, well, he can only win when his kicker wins the game for him. But he got him in position, when most teams would have just taken a knee and went to overtime.
Okay, I got to stop you here, Mike. I got to stop you for a second. You just made a statement. You watched Tom Brady will his team to win when he was playing against better teams.
Yeah.
You made that statement. I just wrote it down.
Yeah. I watched Steph Curry do it, too.
What did Steph Curry do last night?
Oh, my God. Really? Because
he didn't will his team to win.
The thing that is really sad, thing that's really sad is the grasping at straws here.
How does it get different?
How does it get different? It's. I think we just said that Tom Brady, because of a missed block and a bad defense, lost the Super Bowl last year or 2 years ago, whatever it was when they lost to the Eagles.
But Curry could not will his team to win. 47 points.
He doesn't? Did you watch him against the Rockets?
But they're not playing the Rockets last night. They're playing against the Raptors for the NBA championship. Get out of the past. Deal with what happened last night. He could not will his team to win the game.
Yeah, one game.
Despite putting up 47 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists.
This is the most asinine argument you've ever made.
It's a series-changing game.
No, it's not.
Because now Toronto goes back.
It doesn't matter who's at home and who's away.
Oh, and that's
my goodness.
It doesn't.
Are you kidding me, Mike? Really? Are you the only person who really believes
I am the only person in the world that believes this.
Away.
If you're the better team, you're going to win. That's why the better team usually has home court advantage, and that's why they usually win. I hate to tell both of you this, but if we're going to talk Stanley Cup playoffs, it's 2-2, and the home teams are 2-2.
Lucas, get online and help me, please.
I don't think Lucas can help you because every text I've seen here is Lucas agreeing with me.
No, I think he thinks you're an idiot.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Nobody thinks I'm an idiot. And anybody that would say that doesn't even deserve to speak.
Is an idiot.
No.
It's an idiot. Oh, it's fine. Mike, who's the greatest quarterback ever to play the game in the NFL?
Tom Brady.
Who's the best point guard ever to play the game in the NBA?
Steph Curry.
Okay. I'll give you 50% on that.
Well, you know what? Nobody really cares what your opinion is because your opinion is wrong. But, and I'll tell you, if Lucas is listening now and Lucas wants to come on and defend you, he's more than welcome. All right, real quick, because we're running short on time, because that went somewhere we didn't think it would go. Let's talk about the NHL playoffs, Steve. What do you think?
I think it's a great series. I don't know much about it. And I don't follow it as closely. But I heard Gretzky make some interesting comments. They had him on in between one of the periods and talking about how St. Louis is really undermining what Boston – I wanted to ask Sam this – undermining what Boston is doing defensively by playing this game called behind the net. And, again, I'm a novice on hockey. I'll give you all that. But I because of Mike and because of this show, I have picked up watching all the hockey matches and want to learn about this game. And, Sam, you're the genius. So what St. Louis – and when Gretzky started talking about playing behind the net and owning that area behind the net, and is St. Louis changing things and controlling this? Because it looks to me like Boston's the better team, top to bottom. But is St. Louis just outsmarting them on how they're playing the game at this point in time?
I would say yes, but you are right. The sheer talent on Boston is better. The Blues have just been elevated here recently. I think, especially when it comes to behind the net, I personally think that's one of the most important areas, because especially if you're at the point and being pressured and can't make a good shot, if you can shoot it back down to the back of the net, you've got a lot of options back there.
Well, the thing that stood out to me the most is just the Blues out hitting the Bruins through 4 games, 162-133. And I think the team that hits the hardest, kind of like football, usually wins the game. And with these two teams, I think that's even more important because they both play similar. But I think the Bruins are a little bit quicker, Sam, and it's a lot easier to slow the game down, I think, than it is to speed it up. And I think the way the Blues have hit the Bruins was the big difference in the last game.
Oh, yeah. Hitting is always important in contact sports, no matter which one it is. Definitely killing an opposition's speed, especially in hockey, is key.
Yeah. Sorry. What I've noticed most about this, and to both you guys, physicality seems to be altering the state of the game here. Boston is far more physical than St. Louis is, or appears to be.
Huh?
They're being the aggressor more than the getting aggressed. Mike, is that true?
No.
I
think St. Louis does.
St. Louis is okay.
St. Louis has out hit them 162-133 through the game. I think the 2 games the Blues won, the Blues out hit the Bruins. I think the 2 games the Bruins won, the Bruins out hit the Blues. But Sam, I think the Blues are the more physical team here, and if they can keep imposing their will and stay out of the penalty box, I think the Blues are going to win this series.
Well, yeah, there's your other key. Stay out of the penalty box. The Boston Bruins have a fantastic power play, always have. But the St. Louis Blues, because they're hitting so much, they're taking a lot of penalties because they're crossing the line here and there. I think they need to keep up the physicality, but with a bit more discipline.
Steve?
And Mike, I tend to agree with you. I am a novice watching this game. I'm learning, but I'm favoring St. Louis in this thing. Just the strategy they're using and the way they're attacking. I think Boston. I felt Boston was playing more aggressive, but maybe they're just being more of slapshot, more thugs. The Hanson brothers. Maybe I'm just seeing that. And
the Hanson brothers aren't allowed anymore because the Blues, I think, are taking a lot more cheap shots.
I get it. I get that.
I think this. I think basically the Blues forecheck has applied pressure that the Bruins could not withstand in Game 4. And with the injury to Chara, their captain, that's huge here too, Sam.
Oh, yeah. Chara's always been a big part of their defense. Losing key players in big moments like this really sucked the life out of a team. I wouldn't be surprised if St. Louis won the next one and possibly in 6 games, maybe 7. My original thought was that they were going to win in 7, but they could win in 6 with Chara out.
Well, and the thing about the Blues is the Blues have been a much better road team than home team in these playoffs also.
Yeah.
So if the Bruins, though.
The thing is I like the Blues for this reason. Is few teams do this, but some people gain energy from actually shutting the crowd up, and I think that's something that's big for the Blues and the Bruins, but I think it's more prominent for the Blues. So I think a Game 7, they could definitely win that on Bruins ice.
Yeah, I think both of these teams could because I think both the teams have pretty much played better away the whole series. I think the other thing is here, Bergeron, Marchand, and Pasternak for the Bruins. They've struggled to be consistent. If they're not consistent, I don't think the Bruins have any chance here.
Oh, no. The depth has been inconsistent until maybe you can argue in the playoffs. But without those top three, this team is done. Those are their scorers. Those are the people that elevate the team and really get them to their highest peaks. If those can't stay consistent, the team is done right now, and I'd say in 6 the Blues win.
All right, Steve. Hey, wait a second. Do we remember when Stewart was on who picked the Blues in the finals?
It wasn't me, I'm sure.
Sam, do you remember?
I'm sure I picked the Las Vegas team.
You said the winner of the Blues Star series would go to the finals.
Yeah, I thought so.
Who, Mike? Mike did?
Yes, I did.
Oh, Mike. We all know you're a genius.
Hey, and I'll tell you, if you listen to the Sheridan report, I've even picked a score of 2 of the 4 games so far. So, and today, right after this show,
I think Bobby manipulates the scores. I think he manipulates the scores.
Hey, you know what? If he does, that makes our show even more valuable because then we'd never be wrong.
There you go. Yes, it does.
But hey, and Bobby on his baseball, I think he's picked 11 of the last 12 games correct.
Oh, he's on fire.
I know.
If you are not going and going with our partners and betting and taking Bobby's reports, you are losing money. You're
not really
money.
losing it. You're just not making any.
Not making money. Yeah, you're not making any money. Bobby is on fire.
Now,
I think we have elevated his game. Or
how about this, Sam?
I don't take credit for anything.
When you look at this, I think this game's big just because nobody's won 2 games in a row yet in this series. And the 2 in a row, I think the stat I saw in Stanley Cup Finals, in 2-2 series, the team that wins Game 5 wins 72% of the time.
Yeah, the Game 5s are really big. I think it was really important that the Blues didn't go down 3-1 this past couple days, but I think Game 5 is probably second most important game we've got all series so far.
All right, Steve, you got anything else on the NHL?
No, I tell you what, I'm enjoying it. I mean, I'm watching the hockey, and I don't quite understand everything about the game yet, but I'm learning. I'm learning the players. What I've learned about the NBA and learned about hockey is you got to know the players because then you know their tendencies and you know what they do. And then as an athlete or as a player or as a coach, you start to anticipate what guys are going to do in certain situations. I like what St. Louis is doing. Boston, I'm enjoying watching because I think they're just, like I said, they're like the movie Slapshot. But I like the way St. Louis is approaching and attacking things from a very methodical point of view, and they have a process to a method to their madness. And I don't know that Boston has that. And I like it. I like it a lot. I like what Toronto's doing.
I would say that the penalties here, over under a 4.
Uh-huh.
If the Blues are under 4 penalties in this game, Sam, they win. If they're 4 or more, they lose.
Well, yeah, that's where I'm talking about, like, the whole discipline thing. Like, you're going to have some penalties during a game, whether they be accidental or otherwise. But if you're, like, giving a really good power play many opportunities, that's really the difference that you see in these different games is when they take a lot of penalties, they lose. When they take a decent amount of penalties, they usually win because their physical play pays off for those penalties.
Yeah, and it's not so much how many penalties you get, it's when you get them a lot of times too.
Yeah, they had a couple of really bad ones right at the end of a couple of games. It was just bad timing.
Yeah, it's like when I coach football at a higher level, I'd tell guys, you get a personal foul and it's and it's any first down or second down, I don't really care. But if it's 3rd and long or 4th and long, I got a problem with it. Because to tell you the truth, if I'm the Bruins tonight, I'm going to come out and I'm going to lay a blue out right away, even though it gets me a penalty, Sam. Because I think that from coming off of Game 4, they have to show that they're not going to be out physical again, or this is going to get away from them quickly.
Yeah, the Bruins definitely need to get more physical. They've been physical, but I think to really beat the Blues, they need to become more physical
And the
than
thing
they're
is this,
typically
it's
used
not
to.
like the Blues have a great power play.
No.
So, what the heck? Heck, they gave up a shorthanded goal last game, didn't they?
I think you're right, yeah.
Well, all right. Risley, anything else before we wrap it up?
No, I think the question I had for both of you, just to wrap up, are we kind of getting back into a really nice era of championships in sports? I mean, we've had great discussion on both hockey and basketball. We've tied NFL into it. Are we starting to see a renaissance of where championships matter again?
No, not until the Bengals or Lions are playing in the Super Bowl against each other, right, Sam?
There you
That
go.
will never happen.
It could happen, Sam, at least for the Bengals. I've never seen the Lions
You know,
do it, but
Here's the thing, is everybody in Detroit always says next year. I have learned, next year never comes.
Oh, I
you
know.
can expect that 100
hey,
years from
remember
now,
this, though.
Detroit will still not make a Super Bowl.
In Chicago, they used to say that, and next year came. It was just 13 years or 110 years later.
Yeah, after all the people saying it were dead.
So if we could just live to be like 100 to 130, I think it could happen, Sam.
We'd go for it, yeah. Hey,
Yeah,
Mike,
it'd be
can I
like
close on
a
one note?
Cubs championship.
Today's your son Austin's 19th birthday? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Happy birthday to Austin Goodpaster. 19 years putting up with your dad. It cannot be easy.
You notice Sam didn't laugh. Sam loves me, don't you, Sam? Sam?
Is Sam 19 yet?
No.
Sam?
Is Sam 19 yet?
No, Sam's 17, right, Sam?
Yeah.
Okay.
Happy birthday, Austin. 19th birthday. Congratulations. You've lived 19 wonderful years despite your dad, who we all love.
Yeah, whatever. He's had it made.
Yeah, he's got a four-wheeler.
And Sam will tell you, all my kids are calm, cool, and collected. Isn't that right, Sam?
Just like their dad.
No.
Yeah. Oh, what do you mean, no? Come on.
You cannot tell me Grant is calm, cool, and collected.
Hey, but you can't tell me that you'd want an offensive lineman any other way.
Elijah Kearns?
He's calm, cool, and collected.
Exactly. He's
Yeah.
still got the job done. I believe there's
I
a
like
right way to
me.
do everything and still be calm, cool, and collected unless it's like war.
You know
or
what,
something.
though? I'll tell you this. You weren't out there, but a lot of times Elijah Kearns was really mean, and you didn't know it. See, the difference is this. Elijah
He was
Kearns,
upset, but he kept his cool.
No, Elijah Kearns would get mad, but he knew how to get away with it. Grant would get mad, and he didn't care if he got away with it or not.
All right, can I wrap this up with these three things?
I thought you already wrapped it up with something.
Because you got to go to another show with Bobby here in about 6 minutes.
I know. That's why I thought we were already wrapped up.
Well, I'm wrapping it up right now by saying, one, there is going to be a great NASCAR show on the grillingtruth.com at some point. My
It'll be up in
partner,
the
Alex
morning.
Gray, tore it up. He gets this sport and he understands it, and I'm privileged to be alongside of him. And talking NASCAR, I know it's not the most important thing we talk about on this show.
It will be
on our
up by
network,
10
but
o'clock tomorrow morning because
No problem.
the last
Secondly,
two times
just
we
right
posted on
now,
Friday, we had a lot of
let's
listeners.
end with this. Let's all answer this question. Blues or Bruins? Win the series right
Blues.
now.
Blues.
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 Okay.
That easy.
Raptors or Warriors?
Raptors.
Warriors.
I'm torn.
You can't be torn. Make a pick.
Warriors.
Ew.
Get us out of here, Mike.
And
There you
who'd
go.
you pick,
Well-
Sam? Or who'd you pick, Steve?
I pick Warriors. I still
Sam's-
think they're going to find a way to
Sam's
win it.
obviously
Because I
not
think-
listened to
I
the
think
last
Steph
2
Curry
years
is
of
the best
show.
player
where you've
in the
always
history of
wrong.
the NBA.
I think the thing for me on the Warriors is you can never count them out.
End it.
Teams
End
like
it.
that
End
find
it.
a way.
End it.
No, you can't
End it.
count them out. And you don't run this show,
Yeah,
Risley.
you don't.
tell Sam what to do. Nobody puts Sam in a corner.
You do.
No, I don't.
Okay, baby.
I'm nice to Sam.
Get
But,
us out of here.
oh, I know. Sam better
Come
hope
on.
Grant didn't listen to this show.
Bobby
All right,
is
we're
waiting.
going
He's
to wrap
got
it
to make
up.
money. Bobby's waiting to make money.
All right, guys. We'll be back with the Sheridan Report sometime here in the next hour. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Grueling Truth. Me and Mr. Risley will be back tomorrow. Maybe Sam will join us again tomorrow. I don't know. It's just
bring him back. He's
maybe,
a sweetheart.
Maybe. Oh God, really? Is he
that
fabulous?
didn't come out right.
You're a fabulous sweetheart, Sam. Hey,
Shut
wait a second.
the radio
Sam,
show off.
Sam, you got to hear this. No, we're gonna hear this one time. Last night, Sam, I want your judgment on something somebody said. I'm not going to tell you who it was. I'm not.
Oh no, I said it.
Like
I'm sure I said it.
Why are you sure of that?
Because you're picking on me again. It's just
Oh,
typical. That's fine. Go ahead.
Stevie. I'm not going to pick on you.
Come back every day and take more. That means I love
How
it.
about picking on you if I just use your own
Just
words?
tell me what it was.
I'm looking
yeah.
for it because I
Get to your
can't remember. But it was really gay. Let's see. All right.
Oh, he's going back to his
Steve
text
said
now.
this. It's fun. I hope these kids get some rest. He was talking about the Raptors when he was texting Lucas and me.
Oh no, that was a whole other topic I was going to get off on. Was I think this thing's dragging on. Both teams looked lethargic and tired last night. Both teams did.
You said
didn't
it's
see the
fun.
production.
I hope these kids get some rest. We're going to leave with
Rest,
those
right,
words,
because
Sam.
I
Sam,
think
do
the
you have
quality
anything
of
to say
basketball-
before we sign off?
Say that again.
Do you have anything else to
I
say
think
before we sign off?
No, I think we covered it.
All right. Well, Sam, I hope you and the other kids of the world get some rest today before the hockey game tonight. All right, we're going to wrap it up. I wanted to thank everybody for listening. You can hear all of our shows on iHeartRadio, iTunes, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you find sports podcasts. You'll find the Grueling Truth. So,
Mike,
Sam McGinnis,
Mike,
Steve Risley,
we
I'm
also-
Mike Goodpaster. All you kids get some
wait.
rest. What?
we have an incredible app through Xeno Media. We need to start promoting.
Well, you know
You can
what?
go to
if they would send
iTunes.
us, because there's 2 apps on iTunes with us. If they would do what I asked them a month ago and send us a little logo with a clickable thing, we could put it right on the website and people could click and go right there.
I will call George today, and he will oblige us immediately. He wants to make this work.
Alrighty.
So I will take care of that today.
All right. So we're going to wrap it up. We'll see everybody tomorrow at 1 o'clock Eastern on Survive in Advance.